Hey guys, and welcome back to Franchise Nation. I am your host, Moonlightswami, and today I'm bringing you guys the spotlight for defensive players in this year's NFL draft for the Saints franchise. I believe this is the 2020 draft or the 2021 draft, one or the other. Either way, we have defense to cover, and there are some really good players and there's some really bad players in this class. Just as a whole, it's a little odd. I'll show you one player who is just fun. I mean, there are a few guys with cool names. If you take a look at the sheet that is in the description below, I outline every single player in this draft class, all of their top 3 traits, their age, all that jazz. And any player whose name is highlighted in yellow means that I covered them in one of these prospect spotlights. So without further ado, let's start things off with the defense. We only have one left outside back, left end to look at, but I'll show you one more because he's fun. We start things off with Carlos Dingle, 6'4", 296 at 21 years old, out of Michigan State. He's a 3-4 run stopper, A- hit power, B tackle, B- power moves. The power moves are a little light for my liking, but the hit power and the tackling, definitely going to be an impactful player, and he's a rightfully so projected mid-first rounder. Here's the player that I wanted to show. Tyrone LOLB. Unfortunately, he couldn't live up to his family name. 6'6", 297. Ends up as a balanced 4-3 defensive end, not a guy who you're going to put into space as an outside backer. B power moves, B pursuit, C plus hit power, but an undrafted overall grade. Not ideal. Not ideal. Poor guy. After that, we go on to right end, and we start off with Heath Reinhardt, a late first round out of Michigan State. B plus power moves, B plus tackling, B plus hit power as a speed rusher. This guy's going to be a stud. The fact that his power moves are so high, you have to assume that his finesse moves can be pretty high as well to be a speed rusher. 6'3", 295. He's going to be really good. Next up, we have to go all the way down to the 6th round, and we find Malcolm Forsett, a 24-year-old out of Oklahoma. He's a 4-3 run stopper, B plus tackle, B head power, B minus block shed. Solid player. Good value for the 6th round. Not a star power type of guy, but he'll be solid. And then we have Cedric Moma, early 7th rounder with mid-6th talent out of Duke. 6'7", 289 at only 21 years old as a 3-4 run stopper. B hit power, B tackle, B minus block shed. He's a guy who we might consider drafting really late just because of the fact that we want to add some depth on our defensive line. And I'm not really sold on Jamaryn Fudge as our rotational down lineman if someone gets hurt. And Barry Tanner will fill a role, but he's more of a situational player anyway. Next up, we go to defensive tackle, and we start things off with Rayshawn Davison, a mid-first rounder out of Auburn, 6'6", 312 at 22 years old. He's a run stopper, B block shed, B minus pursuit, C plus tackle. Solid, but not overwhelmingly great player. I'm sure that he's going to test very well, but he looks a little raw, has some ways to go. After that, we have Rashad, instead of Rayshawn, we have Rashad Young out of Notre Dame, 6'3", 289, B block shed, B power moves, B minus pursuit. So obviously he has a pass rush move to complement his ability as a run stopper. He is a pass rusher, 6'3", 289. He's a late first rounder. He'll be a good player. Then we have Trevon Cummings, who, for all intents and purposes, doesn't look like he'll be that good, but he's interesting. He has some good attributes to him. He's a late 2nd rounder with late 5th talent out of USC, 6'6", 334 at 24 years old. He is a nose tackle. B minus tackle, B minus hit power, B minus pursuit. Then we jump down to the 5th round and we find Lamar Lejeune, 6'3", 301 out of FIU at 22 years old. A balanced player, C plus hit power, C plus tackle, C plus pursuit. Nothing that jumps off the page at you, but he's at least a player who has some good talent, who might be a worthwhile pick for some team later. Not saying it's going to be us. On to outside backers, and here's where things get fun because the linebacking group this year is really solid in terms of some pass rushers and overall talent. We start out with Jameis Pitts. Late first rounder out of USC. He's a 3-4 pass rusher at 22 years old, 6'3", 248. B power moves, B minus finesse, B minus block shed. You couldn't ask for anything better than that. He has a good power move, he has a good speed rush move, and he can get off the block in the run game. He's going to be a talented player. I can't wait to see what he ends up being. After that, we have Quintez Duncan out of Penn State. He's a prototype, early second rounder with mid-first talent. 6'1", 242 at 23 years old. He seems like he's going to end up being more of an off-ball linebacker. A- hit power, B+ tackle, B block shed. We are in the market potentially for a linebacker depending on John Hastings' contract demands. So, something to keep in mind. After that, we have Tyrone Spellman out of Virginia. Late fourth rounder, B power move, B- pursuit, B- hit power is a 3-4 edge. 6'4", 242. Good player. Good value in the fourth round. Reminds me a little bit of Wes Pitta. Not as polished, though. So that's it for the left outside backers. Let's take a look at the right. We start things off with DeAndre Bellamy, a B+ tackle, Penn State linebacker, B+ block shed, C+ play rec. Interesting player. Definitely doesn't seem like he's going to be a guy who hits all that hard. Seems more of that Christian Kirksey type role. Might be a zone guy, 6'3", 237. Interesting player, though. After that, we have Aaron Gaston out of Pittsburgh. He's a cover 2 guy, 6'2", 244 at 23 years old, a mid-first rounder. B+ block shed, C+ finesse move, C+ tackle. Another interesting player. All right, so now we take a look at some more of the outside backers. We look at Clinton Moy, 6'3", 233 at 21 years old out of Wisconsin. Early second rounder with late first talent. B tackle, B block shed, B- pursuit. Interesting player. Definitely could be a talented player. Definitely want to see how he tests, though. Young, seems pretty athletic. Doesn't have much of a pass rush move. Might be more of an off-ball guy. And then we get to this man, Wesley Austin, a mid-7th rounder out of Yale. What is it with Yale players in this draft? There are a few guys in here who I've looked at of Yale. There's that running back, Earl Moma. Then there's, of course, Wesley Austin. There's a guy later who I really like who is out of Yale. So, you know, it's so weird that there's some really talented Yale players in this draft. Didn't expect it, honestly. Wesley Austin, mid-7th rounder, 6'2", 257. We're drafting him. B hit power, B finesse move, B pursuit. 3-4 pass rusher? Yes, please. In the 7th round, that's a steal. We'll probably take him in the 6th. Really good player. As you can see, here are our draft picks. We have 2 firsts, a 2nd, 2 fourths, a 5th, a 6th, and 2 7th rounders. So I think Wesley Austin's going to be one of the guys that we're definitely considering in this draft. Mid-7th rounder, we might move up from whatever spot we're at in the 6th. On to middle linebackers. There are a lot of really good ones. We start things off with a guy who's not the best in the world. It's Louis Gregg, 6'1", 245 at 22 years old out of Clemson. He's a prototype, early first rounder with mid-second talent. B block shed, B tackle, B hit power. Good player, just not an early first rounder. After that, we have Kadeem Mears, a late first rounder out of Notre Dame. So we come almost full circle. If you remember, Hastings and Esponda both were first round caliber linebackers from Notre Dame. And here's another one back in the first round. A cover 2, 6', 249, 23 years old type of linebacker. A- tackle, B block shed, B pursuit. Definitely interesting. After that, we have Rodnell Finley, a late first round out of Florida. 6'2", 258 at 21 years old. B+ hit power, B+ tackle, B pursuit. Definitely going to be a fun player if we end up drafting him. After that, there's Sanchez Cody, a mid-4th rounder out of Western Michigan. He's a 3-4 tackler, 6', 241 at 22 years old. B+ hit power, B pursuit, B- tackle. Will be an interesting player, to say the least. After that, we have another Yale guy, Louis Polite, mid-4th rounder, 6', 245, 3-4 tackler, B+ hit power, B- tackle, B- pursuit. Like I said, some really good players. And then we have a project here who might be fun. Matt McMahon, 6', 239, 21 years old out of Georgia Tech. He's a 3-4 tackler, A- hit power, C+ tackle, C+ pursuit. As a mid-7th rounder, could be interesting. Let's move on to corners, though. Let's move past corners, then. No, I'm kidding. There are a few guys who we're going to look at. There's one player who I'm taking. There's no way in hell that I'm not going to take him. And that man is Samuel Ferguson out of California. He's an early 4th rounder, 5'11", 185, B+ man coverage, B press, C+ zone. There's no reason not to go after him. He's the best corner in this class period, in a very weak class. but he stacks up well with any corner that we've seen in the past few years. B plus man plus a B press, definitely good. Great value in the 4th round. We'll probably take him. We'll probably move down from number 6 or wherever that Bills 2nd round pick ends up and try to get him because we do not have a 3rd. After that, we go all the way down to Cedric Gideon, a mid-6th rounder out of Tennessee. 23 years old, 6 foot 211, B zone, C plus press, C man. Yeah, not that good. And then the last corner is Kirkland France, a late 7th rounder out of Lafayette, 6'2", 184, 22 years old, B minus man, C plus zone, C press. Not bad. He's a late 7th rounder though, 6'2", has some good size. We'll see how he tests. On to free safety, and there are a lot more strong safeties to look at than free. There are 6 strong, 2 free. Juwan Way, 6'4", 198 out of Clemson, 23 years old. He's an early 1st rounder. B minus hit power, B minus zone, C plus pursuit. Good player. Very good player. I'm not a huge fan of B minus hit power, but for a free safety, I can live with it. The zone is more important. After that, we have Quincy Mahaffey, 5'10", 219 out of LSU, a 22-year-old late 1st rounder. He's a run support guy. A minus hit power, C plus tackle, C plus pursuit. Solid. With strong safeties, we start things off with Riley Beadle, 6'4", 215 out of UCLA. He's 23 years old. He's a prototype, a late 1st rounder. B plus hit power, B pursuit, C tackle. With the current set of safeties we have on roster, I wouldn't put it past us to consider drafting one. I think Sheldon Laws is fine and Minifield is fine, but they're backups, and we could always improve the depth there. I think that's going to be a major concern for us as a whole. Depth in general will be something that we need to consider for a lot of players on offense and defense. And while we definitely might have a starting spot open with wide receiver, maybe an offensive line spot, maybe a corner spot, like the nickel back, maybe a middle linebacker spot, whatever. It's definitely interesting to take a look at some of these prospects and see where they fit in. Next up, we have DeMarco Stevenson, an early 2nd rounder with late 1st talent out of Florida State, 5'11", 206. He's a playmaker. B minus hit power, B minus pursuit, C man. Not a huge fan. Just not. Just wanted to show him though. Next up is Bryson Vincent. Now he's a player who I like more out of Penn State, 6'2", 217, a late 2nd rounder at 23 years old, another playmaker. B pursuit, B hit power, and of course, he also has the C plus zone. That's a big difference. Also better hit power, better pursuit. I don't really think it's much of a contest. Vincent looks pretty good. I'm sure that Stevenson will test a little bit better, but at least something to keep in mind. Next up, we have Voorhees Magnum. Just a cool player name. Mid 4th rounder, late 5th talent, B hit power, C plus zone, C tackle. On to the better players. We take a look at Sheldon Borrell, mid 6th rounder. Out of FIU, he's 24 years old, 6'2", 208, B minus zone, B minus hit power, C tackle. After him, we have John McDaniels out of Central Michigan, 5'10", 200 pounds at 21 years old, B minus hit power, C plus tackle, C plus pursuit. Not bad at all, but here's the player who I really like and I really want to draft. Ben Broughton, 5'11", 204 from North Dakota. He's 24, a little bit older, B hit power, B zone, C plus tackle. As a late 6th rounder, if he tests well, he is definitely going to be one of our draft picks. He has to be, unless he goes. I mean, there are players late who I really like, and there are a lot of players in this draft who I like at positions that we kind of need. So we'll have to make a decision, but either way, Broughton's going to be a fun player, whether we draft him or not. So that rounds out pretty much all of the players. There was one guy who I did want to show you guys from the last episode who I just skipped over, and that is Quidarius Swancut III, an early 7th rounder, not someone who we're going to draft at all. B catching, B minus catch in traffic, C spec out of Cincinnati, but just the name, my God, it's crazy. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Moonlightswami. Let me know who your favorite players are on both offense and defense in this draft class. I think we have a lot of really cool players in here, and I think there are a lot of players who we're going to have to make some decisions on. You know, we have 2 1st rounders, we have a 2nd, so we have 3 picks right now currently in the top 40. 2 4th rounders, a 5th, a 6th, and 2 7ths. Theoretically, we could get a lot of players that we really want, but the 2 first-rounders, while they're really valuable, I don't know if we need to use them on first-round talent. We might be able to move down because there are a lot of players in this draft, like Tremont Sermons, both corner and wide receiver. Samuel Ferguson are 4th-round players who we're looking at. So, do we need to use that first-round pick this year on both first-rounders? And I don't really think we do. There are a lot of players of better value later who I think could benefit our team. And if I had to say what our needs are, it would be corner, it would be wide receiver, it would be tight end, and it would be offensive line depth, maybe pass rush depth. Did I say middle linebacker? And safety depth. So we're good at quarterback, we're good at running back, we're good at center, left tackle, maybe something. We're good on down linemen, defensive ends, and defensive tackles. So outside backers, for the most part, we're good on, but Wesley Austin is excellent value, and we probably need a rotational pass rusher in there just for the simple fact that Jaron Elliott's a little bit, we can cut him, and he's not that important to us. And safety, I think we can live with. So if we were to have an ideal draft for us right now, the first thing would be Raymond Fiegels dropping to us, which I don't think will happen, but you never know. After that, it would be to trade down if some of those offensive linemen are gone. If Rashawn Randall L is gone, then we might go middle linebacker instead. It depends. Rodnell Finley looks pretty solid. So does Kadeem Mears. We could go either way with those. I think Finley would be better out of Florida, late first rounder. So let's say that, let me rephrase. Here would be my ideal draft because I don't think there's any way in hell that Raymond Fiegels is dropping to us. And we can avoid going tight end because we can at least see what Hastings and Ballman and stuff can do. And we could also address it in free agency, mind you. It would be to get a middle linebacker with number 22, probably Rodnell Finley out of Florida. After that, it would be to go and trade down from whatever pick we end up with, whether it be 30, 32, who knows. Trade down if the offensive linemen are gone that we're looking at, and the only one who I really would consider would be Rashawn Randall L if Crowell and Downs are both gone at that point. So from there, we might go with the wide receiver Tremont Sermons in the 2nd round out of Colorado. And if we get a 3rd round pick, then we'll go corner and Samuel Ferguson. Or switch the order because Sermons is a mid-4th and Ferguson is a early 4th. And then after that, we might go after some other players. Definitely want to get the... I'd really like Ben Broughton out of North Dakota. I'd really like Wesley Austin out of Yale. And outside of that, who knows. So I hope you guys enjoyed. That kind of painted a picture of what we're going to be considering. But I'm Moonlightswami, and I will be talking to you guys later. Peace!